Okay, morning guys, welcome back to the garage and the 911 project. This is the fourth day in the garage, so it's been a really good innings over the last few days, and I've made massive progress as well. Up until this point, excuse me, I haven't had such a concentrated time on the car, and especially now it's putting everything back together. You know, working 3 or 4 days on it really makes a massive difference, and we've made progress, so it's getting quite exciting. I won't go over what I did yesterday, you've seen it all on the video, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put the new GT2 selector cables in place, and also the new 997 shifter box, Schaltkiste. I don't know what, I can't remember what it's called in German, and I can't remember what it's called in English. This thing, but it's the shifter box. And that's what I'm going to do today. Once I've done that, I might move on to the Land Rover because that's got some issues at the moment, and see how we get on. I hope you enjoy the video. I've just realised that the old shifter box is still installed. So I think what I'm going to do first of all is remove that, put the new one in, and then feed the cables in. That's the plan. Okay, so as I said, shifter box is still in there. I'm going to take that out now and see if I can do some filming actually of the removal through the windshield. Let's see if it doesn't reflect too much. Okay, just loosened those 4 bolts there, and they're a size 10 on the socket set. I'm going to compare this to the 997 version in a sec so you can see the differences. Okay, so I didn't really video much of that because it's quite tricky to get in there with the camera. But essentially what you need to do is, there are 2 tabs which sort of point downwards to grip from the body to grip this rubber bung, and they were preventing the selector cables, the big connectors on the selector cables to go through. So basically what I did is I carefully bent those back up, and that allows that to slide through. You've got to have this power cable on the left-hand side. You've got to make sure that you go with the cables in from the left-hand side, because what I did is I did that. I straddled them thinking I could just twist it back, but there's no room, it doesn't work. You have to take them out and then go to the right-hand side. And be careful of the carpet inside as well, because it snags on the carpet quite easily, and you want to push them above the carpet rather than below the carpet. The power cable goes below the carpet, selector cables go above the carpet. So I actually had to take this power cable off again just to sort of try and fiddle things through. So that's all connected back up again. Oops, forgotten a bolt there. That's very important. A nut, sorry. And yeah, I'm going to pull them in from the inside now. Okay, so again, videoing that was, I think pretty pointless really. So I didn't. But the best thing to do with this rubber bung is, because it's really difficult to get in, as I say, push the 2 metal tabs up in the first place. But coat the inside of that shaft with fairy liquid, like washing up liquid, because without that, there's no way it's going to go in. It's so difficult to push in. What I ended up doing was pulling the selector cables quite far back and then using those also to sort of push the rubber in. But I used a wooden mallet and a piece of wood just to sort of tap that all the way around. And then eventually it goes through, but it did take some doing. They must have a press or something at Porsche, or they put the selector cables in disassembled, so they assemble them in the car. That's quite possible. But that little gap there, that's supposed to be there. And I'm going to do a bit more wriggling around here so there's a better seal. But that is pretty much in. Once it's in, bend the tabs down from inside the car and use a screwdriver just to sort of pull the rubber ribs beyond the tabs, as it were. That's what I did, and it worked quite well. Okay guys, so I have put these back in place here. I realised what I was doing wrong before I checked the photographs when I disassembled it, is I was putting these parts inside the housing, but actually they clip directly into here, and they make a clicking noise as well when they go in, so they're absolutely solid. And then I use this. I've got to check whether I've done this the right way round, but this is a centering tool for the shifter, so you know how to where to put these the cable connectors. But obviously I'll leave this open and have to double check when the gearbox is back in, because there's no guarantee that this is the right setting. But what I can do in the meantime is put the handbrake back, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I wanted to do some time lapse of installing the handbrake assembly here, as you can see, but unfortunately the camera slipped down, so you can't see anything that I'm doing. But yeah, take it from me, I'm installing the handbrake, and it's a pretty simple procedure. Okay, so that is the handbrake back in and all the cables connected up. So these two brown wires go into that holder there and just sort of trail off there for the sec. That one goes up between the two cables, and the yellow and brown one go into the handbrake mechanism. Okay, so on to the next job, and like I said yesterday, I'm going to get the rear subframe out from underneath there, and I'm going to see about fitting that to the car. So remember, I had a number of the parts of the car sandblasted and cleaned up nicely, and these rear subframe sections are a part of that cleanup process. And what I'm doing here is replacing the rubber bushes which go between the subframe and the body of the car. Here I'm installing the pins which you fix the subframes onto, and they connect to the car. I'm looking up the torque wrench settings on my phone there just to make sure everything's torqued up to spec. So I've got to check the torque settings on those posts which go into the chassis. They can't be much. And then I've got to check the torque settings on those nuts. But yeah, looking pretty good. Okay, that's the left and right section of the rear subframe installed. Having a look at the rear shocks, because they're the next things to go on. I've given this a bit of a clean up here. I'm going to rub this down and paint this, but this is what it looked like before. It sort of gets caked up, all the mess, all the crud gets caked up around this little section here. And I'm giving the gaiters a clean as well. Ideally, I'd replace these on the front shocks as well, but I'll do that as another job in the future. But I'm just going to give these a clean up now.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. Damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. Okay, what I need to do now is take the wire wheel to this top plate here, but it's Sunday and I don't really want to annoy the neighbours, although there are no real immediate neighbours, but they're maybe 300, 400 yards away, so they'll certainly hear me. So I'm going to leave that to during the week or next weekend and move on to something else.
Okay, I managed to find a quiet corner to rub these down, not too loudly on the Sunday, and I painted them with 3 coats of Hammerite, and I've just done the last coat now, so I'm going to take the tape off.
This night's gonna last. You got it all on tap. I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's facts. I feel good, you look
Okay, let's
great.
tidy those up quite nicely. Just have to whip around the rubber, clean it up a little bit because there's a little bit of overspray there, not much. And there's a couple of points where, when I was removing the rust, it took the rubber off, so I'll glue that before I put it back in the car. But they are looking a lot neater. Okay guys, so I'm going to pack up now. Sunday afternoon, I'm going to go home. It's a beautiful day outside, and this is my 4th day working on the Porsche, and I've got tons done. So next weekend I'll get back on it, and I'll be able to fit the rear struts and start assembling the rear suspension, and then see how I get on. Maybe that's on Saturday, and maybe on Sunday I'll come up again and start putting the front suspension on, or maybe the fuel tank. Have to have a look what goes next. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the 4 days, and it's good to get some progress on the 911, a couple of steps closer to getting it back on the road. I look forward to seeing you again soon.